I would never go live and tell everybody we're live. I don't know what you mean. Never, not even once would I ever.
No? Oh, okay, got it.
No,
got
no,
it.
I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't
True to one's goblin self, yes.
Hey, at least I'm consistent.
Right?
Unlike some people, but we won't name this. This is about volcanoes, not.
I was hoping we would like start around like 8:15 or something like that, but it's okay. Like 8:15, but it's okay.
That'd be like
And
I'm
25
gonna keep
minutes
making
from
that
now.
joke.
We didn't have 25 minutes from now.
Well, it depends
And I will
upon.
keep making
I mean,
that
if you're in Newfoundland, you could have joined a half hour later, or is it 15 minutes?
Half hour.
I think it's half hour,
15.
isn't it?
Half hour.
Half hour, is it? Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's a Newfoundland, that whole strip of that little bit of space has its own time zone.
New Zealand? Huh?
Newfoundland. And of course, the question is why.
Get me out.
Oh, time zones exist? Oh, okay, gotcha.
Landon, you're still screen sharing.
I am.
Am I?
I toggle.
Oh,
There you go.
Oh. I'm not screen sharing anymore.
You're good, yeah.
Yeah, so otherwise, yeah, we'll see how this show goes and see whether
Whether
there's
both of you survive.
Yeah.
a bunch of images, a lot of volcano porn.
yay! Let's go.
Hey, what up? How's it going?
Hey,
Hi.
What's up? What's up?
Yo. Welcome to the Volcano Show,
Hey,
everybody.
Goblin.
Hi.
How's the Goblin doing?
Tired. What's going on with you?
and
Oh,
good morning, good afternoon, or good
Hi.
evening, depending on your time zone, latitude, and volcanic status. How are you doing, folks?
Landon is the sane one today, so please keep your
Good
focus
luck,
on
Landon. You're on your own.
I
Yeah,
am?
Chesh
Oh,
and I
okay.
both are. Yeah, Chesh and I both are like AWOL, like mentally. We are just like, Nani.
There's things going on, I guess is what we want
I
to
feel
say.
like that's
but,
just me all of the time. I don't know what you're talking about. Live
Hey,
my
Yeah,
life
well,
on
yeah.
a 45-degree angle.
Some of it is self-inflicted, and some of it is self-induced, and some of it is just being a victim of
Unhelped.
circumstances.
There we go. Or life on the 45.
Oh, that's. I should go this way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone-
Oh my God.
Negative?
Like that. Okay, that was good.
Now
See,
I'm
I told you, Landon's the sane one today. So
Okay. Well, I hope that folks
happy-
in the chat are saying.
Happy Easter, everyone.
Yes.
Happy Easter, everyone from Australia and New Zealand.
Yeah, Maanya's in the future.
Yes, I am. And yeah, I finished my second assignment yesterday. Now just one more left, and this semester will be over. And I'm just like, I can't wait. I just can't wait. So
You say there's one more assignment? Is it a big assignment or a small assignment?
yeah, that's the final part where you bring everything together, and then this time you have to really, really show your stats and your graphs and stuff. So yeah, the real work begins now.
Everyone in chat should say hi to April, but be sure you put appropriate number of Y's in April. It's got to be, you got to have a number of Y's, not just one or two. So
Have you guys seen the chat GPT at like asking AI how to spell how many N's are in mayonnaise?
No.
It's so funny.
What?
It never gets it right.
Really?
Yeah.
What?
What if it
Oh
asks
my
how many N's are in Maanyaa?
It probably doesn't have much of a
A's.
working model off of Maanyaa, so I guess it doesn't have a
Forget the
working model
A's.
off-
The N is the one that it probably would get wrong.
Yeah. I mean, so what's going on in Volcano Land? Happening? What's
Yeah.
happening?
Well-
What?
Madam Pele has been she's been put on quite a show. So let's get into it because we've got lots of data to go over.
Let's
I'm going
go,
to share
baby.
my screen. Okay, so this was the status in the morning. Volcanoes erupting. We had we're now on our 18th episode. So the eruption started on Eve, and we've gone through 18 phases of this eruption. So this is like the first time we've had a multi-phase eruption since the end of the 35-year great eruption cycle that ended in 2018. Right now, gas emissions of about 1,200 tons of sulfur dioxide per day, which is elevated, not huge. It's definitely in the eruption phases of things, and it's had some in this latest phase. We've had little bits of sputtering, but we'll see how it goes. One of the things you may know is that we look at various telemetry. Here's a map of the top of the Kilauea. So this blue line represents the tilts in this area here, and we can see that over the last 24 hours it's kind of noisy, but there's a trend over the past week that's been going on actually since about the 9th, where we've had an upward inflation. And you may recall in the last time we met, which was, I believe, March. March 4th or March, somewhere on there? It's beginning of March.
March 7th would have been
March 7th.
Last show.
We were seeing the same sort of thing of this up down wiggly bits and then a drop, right? And as it's dropping, then you get some eruption in the caldera. And so we've had a sort of a thing that was sort of periodic, but then this one cut short, and now we've had a long sustaining up tilt. And if you look at the there's farmers mowing out in the field, so I'll try to reduce the.
I like to imagine that this actually is just one gigantic wasp, just one really big one.
Like...
Yeah. Well, you're out there in the river mowing. So anyway, if you look at we've had this long sustained thing, and if you can look at the tilt is sort of leveling off here. It's not this linear seesaw thing. It's beginning to level a little bit. In terms of the distance across the caldera, this is when Christmas Eve eruption started, and as typical, when eruption begins, it's a sort of maximum pressure, and the mountain deflates. But it's had these up and downs. These are the episodic cycles, these up and down things, where it's been off again, on again in terms of lava coming off the area. From a longer perspective, 5 years, it's been sort of there's the beginning of the Christmas Eve eruption, and it's been this sort of up down bits. If we look down the East Rift Zone, so this is going down to the east. Here's a map. Instead of the caldera up here, we're talking about this area called Pu'u'o'o. This was the site of the eruption. 35.5-year eruption flows. It's farther down the East Rift Zone. If you look at that thing, you'll see as well that it shows that East Rift Zone is responding to some of the variable stuff, but not directly, right? It's noisy, it's contracting, in part because the pressure is being relieved at the summit. So the side of the mountain is sagging, but we're talking about tiny bits. I mean, we're talking about millimeters, not an awful lot. When we look at the map on March 10th, the main since we had our show is these two eruptive events. We've got these two events on the side that have been pouring out lots of lava into Halemaumau in there. Right as of March 10th, the thickness was 39 meters, about 128 feet of lava. When you go to March 18th, it's up to 47 meters, 154 feet. And in April 9th, although it's not, the thickness is not 51 meters. So we've had quite a bit of flows when you have these eruption cycles. And of course, it's even thicker now. Right now, it's probably about 58 meters. And you can tell if you look.
It's definitely a lot different from when we first started this show, in a different spot.
Yes, and you can tell if you look at the extent of the lava. The lava has been, the lava lake has been rising, so it's from there to there to there. It's slowly filling up. Wow. The volume right now is a total volume of lava that's been ejected since Christmas Eve is now the order of 19 billion gallons. That's around 70 million cubic meters, or 70 million.
Wow. How many washing machines again?
About 70 million. Lots of megapints too, depending on your megapint size. So that's been a pretty active set. Earthquake-wise, the mountain is fairly quiet seismically. I mean, you look at the last 7 days, we've had 9 near the summit. Here's the summit area here again, and we've had 9 quakes of small stuff. So the rocks have not been cracked. Expect some earthquakes to begin as the top of the volcano gets higher and higher, mass load. It might start pushing down towards the ocean here, but we'll see. Right now, it's not very seismically active. And as of last night, it had a little bit of glow. But let's go and see what's happened. Instead of focusing on what's happening right now, let's go and look at where we have been in the past. So we've had a number of things, and basically here is looking down at the 2 vents. These are the 2 eruptive vents that are in the on the edge of the Holly Maanyaa pit, and for the most part, at the beginning, these 2 vents were sort of balanced in terms of their flow, and recently it's been favoring this one vent to the side, and this one's been less active.
That's beautiful, actually.
There is
so beautiful. Oh wow!
And it posed, again, it was the vents were fairly, they were heights of maybe 50 meters, 150 feet or so. Volcanic gas was moving to the southwest, and so we set up cameras here. Geologists can even this case, you have gas masks on hand, but the airflow is such that you didn't need.
I was muted. I wanted to say they look beautiful. Sorry, my bad. I was muted, came in and just walked away.
Yes, it is. And if you look down in the you see essentially it's this pond with a fairly significant fountaining that's occurring, and then it pours out the side. So it sort of it afforded here again the 2 vents from a different angle, and so lots of metering going on, measuring gas output, measuring lava flow output. Now downwind, in this direction over here, as we're going into this area here, downwind, we get a lot of ash deposit, and so you can see here the thickness of how much ash is being, and rock dust. Here the 2 vents are to the left, and notice this particular sign here. This should be part of the drive around the southwest, around the caldera. This is the beginning of until you interpret a sign saying you're crossing the southwest rift. Remember, Kilauea has 2 rifts, one to the east and one to the southwest. And this in the park drive around the caldera saying you're crossing the south rift. And you look there's a fairly significant amount of rock bits that have been deposited. This was in mid-March. Now on occasion, lava bombs would be thrown out. So this is not an area to tread lightly. This was a time when the fountains had stopped. But previously, we had these buckets that we would use as collection samples, right? Along the road, sort of, is to be able to collect stuff. And here's a case where a blob called a lava bomb has hit and smashed the bucket. Even though it was liquid, it also smashed it. So they're both massive and high volume, high velocity. You can see that the area downwind is just now being covered with such a pumice and ash. This is showing you what the visitor overlook looked like. So if you go to the national park, you can have a nice little park area here where you can walk out to this area and get a good view to the side. It's definitely upwind, so the gas is flowing away from you. You get a nice view, especially at night. This is also wheelchair accessible too for those that need that. So you've got the little railing there where you can go in and look down and see lots of pretty sights. So I encourage you to visit your national parks.
And good luck with that.
Yeah, well.
Good luck with Charizard doing power bomb. Lava bomb, sorry.
So you'll see that a eruption episode would start with a little bit of dribbling out of other two vents, and they then start building up much more of a pond. And one of the things in particular I want to show you, this is going to be done at 100 speed, and you'll see how the pond rises and falls. Right, it has this breathing called pistoning, where the lava comes up because the magma underneath is outgassing, pushes lava out onto the surface, and then goes back down. And so this sort of fountaining, and even when it's fountains much more, yeah. And so they have these drain back things that go through, because what happens here is that the dissolved gases come out, push the magma to create lava, and then they finish their outgassing, and now it becomes less buoyant and sinks back in. So you get these cyclings that occur. And again, if you remember from the set of stuff here, remember from the tilt meters, what we were seeing was that the tilt meter had this sort of wiggle up and down. There's sort of like the short cycle of 15 minutes, and there's another longer cycle that's several hours, and there's the longer cycle that's like a day and a half of eruptive phase. So if we continue going on there, we're looking at items here. Again, you get these sort of drain backs. The drain backs are kind of fun because the way that the lava circles down is, again, it's like pulling water in a bathtub and get a little whirlpool going until it reverses and comes back out again. Then we've had some spectacular fountains that begin. This was in the area in late March. Now, for the first time, the fountains were going above the rim, right? And wow! And again, the one fountain on this one fountain side tends to be more energetic than this one. And of course, this is where, when we talk about having that massive amount of lava coming out, these kind of events, there's an enormous amount of lava that's coming out of the area, and of course, the ash that's coming from there is covering this area. You can begin to see all the ash that falls on the slopes that fall down here, but there's a great amount of ash behind it that is also being deposited from these cycles. And again, some of the tallest fountains ever at the summit in Halimapamau have been there. So this is we're now approaching around, I guess, in 200 and this was like 250 meters, I believe, was the I'm checking the notes here for stuff.
250 meters, holy shit.
Yeah, and so the let's see, 250. Yeah. So that's in feet, around 800 feet. What's this at this stage? And moving forward on there, we see again that a lot of the material, it's reaching the rim. The height is reaching the rim of the caldera, and then lots of materials flowing out into the down drop block inside Halley Mountain. Again, it's not bothering anyone. It's sloshing around inside the pit, but the pit's getting shallower and shallower. Now during periods of time when the fountain is not erupting, we put some cameras and instruments to the edge here. This edge is actually remaining fairly stable. It's not crumbling in as much because even though there's lots of stuff coming up, it's coming through sort of a constrictive vent. It's not like a lava lake that's banging the side and slowly eroding. If anything, it's more material on the side to stabilize it. But obviously, you put these instruments down when it's not erupting, because you can see there's a lot of ash material coming in the area. The instruments themselves are in pelican cases, and the cables are Cat 6E, so that if hot blobs land on them, they don't melt. They sort of the shielding tends to dissipate the heat, and so they can survive a bit longer. So here's another set showing you the actions of the two vents. So you see this is speed up to 100-fold, and you can see the vents sort of starting. This has been, so this was, we'll go back here again. What we're seeing, if you look at the dates, is that this is showing from the very beginning of the eruption, Christmas Eve, and so we'll watch how this area is changing, right? There's the two vents that tend to start forming. You start to get mounds going, and you start to get a lot of ash now being deposited in the area. They're building up more and more. In the early stuff, in like January, these two vents were sort of equal in their output and in their fountaining. But again, you start now building these mounds that are coming out. A lot of lava is flowing. Again, we're now in February. So all this happened before the last show. And then this is either where the last show was. And let's go and do some more stuff. So in
oh wow,
late March, late April, you can see the amount of ash deposit now. This is the old road that used to go around the area. It's now depositing a fairly high volume. And this is not just a bunch of pumice. There's a lot of glass shards. There's a lot of silicon at the top. So there's a lot of silicon dust. And if you've ever heard a thing called silicosis, don't breathe this stuff.
Yeah.
So, just for reference for anybody watching this now, watching this in the future, this is the type of stuff that creationists will use to say, oh, see how much can be built up over a short period of time, right? To try to dissuade or say that we can't measure or accurately predict what was happening in the past versus what is happening now. So just keep in mind that if and when you do see that, like 5, 6, 7 years from now, people trying to reference this eruption to try to throw off some kind of measurements or numbers, don't let them. It's just not how it works.
Sure.
No.
And this is going to compress. This is very light, fluffy, dusty stuff. It's going to compress. Rains will also compactify it. You can see in here on the edge of the crater, these were successive eruptions from in the past. So this will turn into sort of a thin layer. But right now it's light and fluffy. There's a lot of this big eruption has afforded us lava collection opportunities. So given that the trade winds are flowing to the southwest, you can land people down farther. Again, the vents are farther over way over here to the side in this area, and so they flow. So you can capture lava far from the source and take it in for analysis. We put it back, but notice as well, safety is in paramount there. Fire retardant suits, gas mask helmets, plus multiple people, there on hand to apply assistance. There's a bucket off to the side over here where this person's going to try to shovel this because it's sort of sitting there ponding, not flowing, and try to get a little of this to dump in the bucket and see, take some measurements. Again, looking at the events, this is now March 20th going forward, and you can see how this eruption kind of starts with periodic up and down in these eruption drain back type systems, going back and forth, and it's now this is over a period of hours, right? You're seeing the beginning of what looks like what is an episode, and then it starts really fountaining, going, quite vigorous, and it can last for, now we're at 8, 9, 9 o'clock, quite high fountaining. But again, notice the fountains go high and low. It is again also pistoning, but at a much earlier. And we've noticed that the one vent shoots a lot of material. The other vent is actually relatively low.
So do you think they're like two different sources? They're like two different sources.
Well, there's been a lot of debate as to why it is doing what it's doing right here in this area. I mean, you get some things like here they're fairly equal in pressure, and then somehow that one vent begins to plug, and it sort of goes to almost nothing, and as if the pressure transfers to the other side. Lots of hot ash, right? These are, and again, given the height of this thing, these are huge, hot, semi-liquid boulders being thrown out. And the gas is coming out here at a fairly high rate. They're measuring. We're measuring. For example, this is now getting to the point. Given this particular height, as I recall, I was looking. Let me look at the data here. This is now about 300 meters high at this stage up here, so about 1,000 feet, and the bottom is being ejected at near the speed of sound. So you're getting sonic booms of material being rocketed out of this vent up to the area, and then this is a lot of, then the wind catches this stuff at the rim and carries it, which is why you're getting that deep blanket of stuff.
Did you say 300 meters, right? So the speed of sound is 330.
Yeah.
So the speed of sound is 330 meters per second. So yeah, no doubt.
It sounds so we're getting. It starts out that speed, and of course gravity works away. So it's you get hang times. I was recording showing hang times are close to 10 seconds of boulders that get thrown up and 10 seconds to fall. Now there's obviously the currents as well that are disturbing it, but again, it's a fairly significant. It's only the Kilauea Iki eruption in 1959, which was a side crater, not the main caldera, a side crater that had higher fountains. But there's been no time in recorded history that we've had fountains inside the main caldera that's reached this height. Neither the Hawaiian legends nor the explorers of the 18th, 19th century saw fountains of this size. Now go to the last stage here, and so again you see these sort of pisting events. This is real time. Whoops, sorry. Let's try it again.
Oh wow. Oh. Yeah, what a warning. Don't go swimming in that pool, all right?
Yes.
No swimming around. And no ash angels, Smitty.
Yeah, no ash.
Ash angel.
So the temperatures in this interior here is running at around 1,300 Celsius, or that's close to 2,400 Fahrenheit in the center of this area. Very, very, very high temperatures. But again, we can see the cycling between it being very effervescent and not so, draining back. This sort of cycling going on at slow, but you can see the and the bursting. Right now, it's not very vigorous, but it'll end up turning into a fairly high set of fountains. Later on in this particular eruption phase. So you look at what happens here. Actually, watch what happens. So it's draining. It's now beginning to drain back, and you see the whirlpool forming. Do you see the drain back? It's now circling, and it creates a whirlpool where it's draining back down inside the.
Yeah.
Because the magnet at the top lost its loft. Now you're starting to get gas coming out because now fresh magmas are approaching the surface and beginning to outgas, and it will stop its drain back, start forcing new magma to the surface to create lava. And a couple of minutes later, it starts doing this. Right? That was the
Whoa. Is it me, or is the lava on the left vent is more brighter than the one on the right, or is it just because
yes,
of the angle you're looking at?
they're for some reason asymmetric, and you can see again the amount of ash and material that's being lofted in the air. So just not long after this happened, right? There's another camera that's off to the side because now this stuff started, after it finished, it within a few moments launched itself up, and the one vent cleared
went higher.
cleared than the other one. It's kind of an interesting little arrangement for stuff happening. So out in the southwest, there are now plants that are being sort of pounded by this ash coming down. They're getting somewhat burned, but these are plants. They'll probably survive, but they're probably not happy being surrounded by relatively hot ash. You can now see how the vents. There's a lot of material that's being deposited around, sort of building cones from these fountains. Here is probably some of the highest distances that we saw here. The recording here for this in height was around 410 meters at the top. So this is around 1,350 feet here. Again, some of the highest things, and you could go to the visitor overlook and watch this thing go. Now again, it had periods of time where it was really high, and then a couple minutes later it would be back down, up and down, up and down. That pistoning is a very common cycle. Again, the material coming out of the vent is reaching at near supersonic speeds, being ejected out. Here's another.
Yeah,
thing
did it
showing
break
you,
Mach 1 barrier? That would be interesting.
see if I can. I'm going to see if I can get the. There's sound here, so let's see if I can get it going. So if you, can you hear that?
Yeah, we heard it.
And one of the things you're hearing, and on the echoing, there's kind of like an echoing side. That's actually sonic boom from material that are reaching speed of sound.
So for anybody out there, there are in fact natural ways for natural things to reach the speed of sound.
Yeah, and
Really?
these are large boulders. This is not little rocks. These are large house-sized boulders being ejected and thrown up at at distances of beyond 400 meters. So let's go ahead and watch some more of this. Going well beyond the top of the camera at this point. Tremendous pressure it's forcing up.
Yeah, like building up on like Tesh's like point that there are natural ways for like stuff to like reach supersonic speeds. So when History Channel goes like, what else could have caused that? I think there was some external power that came in and intervened. It was just nature, just
Yeah.
nature.
Yeah, Madam Pele says, "Hold my beer."
Yeah, Madam Pele, like you wanna see what else gotta do? Yeah, you go, child. Hold my whiskey.
And you can see that again this ash stuff out here is it's a pretty tremendous set of material. But let's continue the. You can see the variable heights, high, low, high, low. Look at how many seconds just in this frame of things falling.
I just saw a piece like move across, and I was just like, "Holy shit, that was fast!" And just cover that like chasm in like a second.
And then it's kind of a couple of minutes later, it kind of says, "Oh, I'll go back and chill a little bit."
He's like, "Okay, bye."
I don't know what chill means to you, but
Oh god.
But again, very high temperature lava.
what's low temperature lava?
Yeah, right.
Nearly
What's
very
chill
tasty.
lava?
But notice now, so it's pushed out the gas, and now we're going to get a drain back. And now it's beginning to drain back down and begin to siphon. You see the siphon starting to drain and get the whirlpool starting.
So what it looks like to me is that the lava flow is coming from the right-hand side went to the left, and when the pressure goes down due to some reason, the left-hand side of the vent just like stops, but the right-hand side keeps going because the lava underneath is going somewhere else after that like vent. It's ending up somewhere else. So there might be another like spine or somewhere that's developed that's like taking the lava somewhere else.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think so. That's what it is. That's happening.
So this is cameras, from the visitor overlook, and we'll watch again one of these things. Again, this is some of the highest recorded lava fountains from the summit of Kilauea that
Wow.
in history.
Is that a lady in the smoke, in the flames, like a lady on her knees or something like that, standing up?
Look at the example of this thing where you go, here's stuff, and it goes 1,001, 1,002.
Like in the smoke, I could almost see a lady.
1,006, 1,007, 8, 9, 10. It's almost launched. Think of almost 10 seconds free fall from the top.
Yeah, just imagine the amount of like energy that things have when it's coming down, and if some unlucky bastard is just like in the way.
Across the caldera of this
Plus it's
roller.
hot, so it's gonna slice through something. Wow.
It probably would be even higher if you only had one vent to contend with. But it seems like when the one really gets tall, the other one kind of extinguishes for whatever reason. Again, tremendous volume of lava that's coming out here, as well as the height. You can see how far it's, how fast it's raining into the basin.
Wow. Yeah.
There's a lot, again, the amount of energy, power that's coming out of here, the power that drives that much rock, liquid rock, that fast, that high.
Yeah, April.
As I say, so that's something that I would not have expected to have seen in my life.
That's a
This kind of
spectacular view. That's a
from there.
now that's a view. Now that's a view. Damn.
And you can see the ash fall downwind
Yeah.
from this and the tremendous flow. So high volume, high pressure ejection. And again, look, notice how this particular vent is just going like gangbusters, and this vent is sort of like dribble, dribble, dribble.
Yeah.
And that's sort of seen. Everything must be so constricted that not much is coming out of here, even though they're got to be coming
just
from
side
a
by
similar
side.
source.
Yeah. There's something blocking that vent, and that's kind of like increasing the pressure for the left vent over here, isn't
Yes.
it? Like that's
Yes.
why it's going
Yeah.
higher and higher, because it's looking for a
Yes.
way out, and that is the only vent. So what did the locals do during this time?
Oh, there was a lot of as I said, a number of medicinal herbs that were smoked in honor of Pele.
Well, I do know we have to keep it a little bit short today. We are at the 40-minute mark. Do we want to take a look at where we're at right now and take a look at what our predictions were?
I'll quickly run through just a couple of the other pictures again. Nice view. Again, from afar, you can see it going well above the top. More says here. At night, the glow in infrared is actually quite intense. There's a lot of stuff you can see of this draining again, where the material starts off.
Wow.
Fountains. One takes off, the other one kind of goes small, and then back down again within a couple of hours. So you have to kind of be there at the time to see the high speed, and after a couple of hours, it drains back down again. So there are sort of these episodic bursts going. Again, from the visitor center, some fairly spectacular stuff. This is now. Remember that sign? Now that same sign. Now it's it's covered again. This amount of ash going. From the point of view of thermal stuff, these are the two vents, and you get these sort of flows inside the thing reaching the edge as again it goes for several kilometers, filling up this pond.
That's beautiful.
And it's doing lots of stuff where you again these high fountains. Here's a case again where this one, because it's blocked, this one it comes all to this other area, and again these are just spectacular. These are kind of like once in a lifetime sort of fountains that we expect. And at night, the thermal thing just blinds the camera with very, very, very high, very high.
Wow. God damn.
Of material, and fast flowing, as indicative of high temperature lava. And in the daytime, it goes down and stops. So this is sort of like an episode, and then it just stops, right? That's kind of this episodic thing we see is these things going. Now we have the case of you get some very beautiful mineralization from stuff, because the lava mixed with air and other chemicals, and you're getting nice and interesting chemical deposits from these salts. Here again, when we know that the fountain is low, they can come in and service cameras. Again, the
I
current
would
state
suggest
right now.
I would suggest
Yep.
harnesses there on that edge. That's too
Yeah,
close to the edge
probably.
for me, man. And like, looks like there's a potential for a landslide or something to happen there.
Yeah, that probably is
So
the case. I would want that too. So here's a case now. Again, we can see the same sort of photoelectric effect using a lot of drones now when the thing is fountaining, rather than putting people at risk. Looking down and
good
in the
idea.
actual to
Wow.
see what the view looks like. And this is looking down into. It's just finished a drain back, and you're looking down into the pit of this tight cone there. That is.
I can
So
see
that's
only
sort of the.
like there's
Go ahead.
oxidification, like there's an
Oh yes.
oxidization process happening, isn't it? So that's why it's all
Yeah.
gone red, isn't it? That's what it is. This is
Yeah.
not,
There's sulfur.
there's some
Sulfur
red due to
deposits,
temperature, yes,
deposits.
but
Yeah.
yeah, but there's already like oxidization that's happening.
Lots of interesting minerals that come out here, and that also of things that cooked material. From the point of view
And then you can
of
see sulfur also.
So the summit is elevated in terms of its pressure with a little bit to the southwest, but the summit seems to keep going. There's no sign of magma moving because there's no so we go back to where we are now. The summary here. If we go to, where is it? Back to here, or to, where is the other one? I'm looking for that. Well, I know I have it here. Oh, here it is. I believe
Oh.
that's our
Oh, wow.
Discord
Oh,
server.
okay.
Sorry. Trademark Canada.
It's okay, Canada's not sorry anymore.
Oh.
I like that attitude.
Yeah. So in terms of the current state of affairs for that, we certainly have a lot of new a lot of new material coming out right now. If you look at right now, let me go to the current. We'll look at the current live thing here and go to there. We see right now it's just
Still
doing the
guessing.
steam.
Wow.
Yeah. Still, there's plenty of gas coming out. No fountains. There was a little bit of glow last night, and that's typical of, even at this stage, the magma comes near the surface and goes back down. These up and down drain events. But as you saw from the tilt meters that were there, we haven't reached the peak yet. So in the deforming stuff, this is still probably on the rise. When you get the drops like this, that's when the fountains start going. Basically, it's relieving pressure, so it's sagging in. And we haven't yet reached the peak there. But that's the current state of affairs.
All right, come on back, Landon. We got Maanyaa to go over our stuff. What were our predictions last time, Maanyaa?
Yep, I got it. I got it right here in my beautiful notebook here. Here we go. All right, so predictions. Landon said, continue to see eruption episodes. Episodes will have longer pauses between them. Longer pauses means more pressure.
Sorry, I just gotta stop you for 1 second. Landon, can you take your headphones off of your microphone?
Sorry.
Thank you. Go on, Maanyaa. That was really funny.
That's okay. Okay. Yeah, my unfinished journey. Thanks, Nero. Thanks a lot for wishing Dr. Proton. Yeah, I really appreciate that. I thought I would do that before we restart. Okay, so predictions. Landon, continue to see eruption episodes. Episodes will have longer pauses between them. Longer pauses means more pressure, therefore more spectacular eruptions. April from the live chat said, yeah, let's hear all of them, yeah? So yeah. April says, play for a couple of more episodes for a while and then settle down. That is, eruptions will be over. Smitty, contrarian since it's her time of the month. Sean, volcanoes will be awesome. Team ONB, Pele, hold my beer.
Pretty good. Yes, definitely.
Athens was like 42. I don't know what he meant by that, but it's like 42.
42 is
Chesh,
the answer to life, the world, and everything.
Okay. So, coming back. Chess said a little bit more oozing, then we'll go back to shimmying. Eruptions not violent, just oozing. Maanyaa, more good, spectacular eruptions. Yeah. So, and also there was a comment over a century since lava was ejected from the caldera over the rim. That was from the last episode.
Yes.
I don't know who.
Yeah.
I think so. Landon made that comment. So here we are. Madam Pele is like, hold my whiskey, children. So I guess if we go by Landon and my predictions, we both are close. But Sean also said volcanoes will be awesome, and then Team ONB had also said Pele, hold my beer. So I guess majority of people were like, yeah, that's Madam Pele. Nah, she's not gonna go quietly like that. So everybody's a winner.
Yes.
So that was like, so I guess people like we as the followers of Madam Pele have started recognizing when she's about to like give us a show and when she is like you know. So I think we're getting around that point. I know there's still a lot of guesswork there, but I think so. Yeah, there are many people who are recognizing patterns now because of this.
And I think
yeah,
what we saw in these last 6 weeks with these episodes is periods of time, maybe a couple hours when you had these spectacular events. If you're going to visit there, you want to plan to stay for a week or so because somewhere in that time is likely to have some sort of episode. But the question is, will these episodes continue? Are they going to be spectacular? It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
They're not. These episodes aren't going to happen forever.
I will remind anybody, if you are planning to go and visit and you are planning that week trip, please be aware of any difficulties you may have going across or over any borders right now. So just travel advisory. Also, make sure you have your vaccines because there seems to be a few issues at the moment if you're traveling through America. So just average advisory.
Yeah.
Be careful and be cautious and make sure your ducks are in a row.
Yep.
Yeah, Hawaii tends to be more concerned with biological contamination, right? It's an isolated ecosystem out in the Middle Pacific, and anyone bringing in from any place, even from the U.S. mainland, is subjected to inspection because they want to try to preserve their unique biosystem.
Mm-hmm. But alas, what are our predictions for the next one?
Hold on, let me grab my pen. I'm gonna write this down. Okay, let's go. Who's gonna go first?
And by the way, in the chat,
April from the live chat.
We all just said the same thing.
Yeah.
April says, I predict she's gonna react in parallel with the American political situation. Get measles.
Now, this because it turned out that the start of the great fountains, right? The things that are in like 300-meter, 1,000-foot fountains started on Liberation Day, supposedly.
There was also a big fire in California. There was also like hurricanes really badly in Florida as well. It's almost like if ever there were nature telling you you're doing something wrong, now would be the time.
Yeah. So I think it's interesting that when strange things were happening in Washington D.C., you could go and watch Madam Pele because she says, I'm going to put on a better show. But yes, okay. Right. What else? What other predictions?
I predict that we're going to see one bigger, large eruption before the end of this month, or by the time we get our next show.
And Smitty reminds me that there's even between islands there are issues. Yes, predicting the unique biosphere of the Hawaiian Islands is an important task. So we have another thing in the chat.
I don't know if that counts as a prediction. Madam Pele is not quite ready to go quietly into the night, but that's not much of a prediction. You got to do a little bit. You gotta be a little more specific than that.
I would interpret to say that that's not going to. It's not quite ready to basically fade away and
become quiet.
Yeah.
So I'll just write it verbatim, and we can do like we'll do like
unless you want to amplify your prediction.
Yeah.
Other predictions for
like
the chat?
we can do interpretation next time. Yeah.
Now I don't know, Smitty's hold my day drinking wine. Was that a prediction or is that a personal statement?
Both.
Landon.
So I think that we're going to see, a few more episodes, but I think the fountains are not going to be as high as they were in the late March, mid-April. We'll have fountains, but they'll be more. They'll be lower in height. I think also the periods of time between episodes will get a little bit longer. So part of it, I think, is going to be back that the constriction that's forming, bringing the one vent is going to be opened up as the material ejects. It's going to basically no longer be as tight of a hole, and so you'll get volume, but you won't get height. And it's also going to take a little bit longer between episodes. I do agree that by the time we have our next show, which is when, by the way, when is our next? Are we get back to the beginning of? Are we going to be? Is it 2 weeks from now or 6 weeks from now? Or 4 weeks from now? What will be what's the time period I have to work on for a prediction?
Like if you're doing it Sunday, then I think so we can do it exactly 4 weeks from now if you want to.
Okay. So 4 weeks from now, there'll be the episodes will be milder in fountain height, and there'll be longer periods between episodes.
We'll either be live probably on the 10th or the 17th, depending on you guys.
Yeah.
10th or 17th. I'll take the 17th if we could.
Okay. This show got so fluctuating over the past little bit that I put it on a sticky note. So I could just move it around.
I saw that. Yeah, I was like, I looked at you like writing something.
Maanyaa Chess, what is your predictions?
I already predicted. It's Maanya's turn.
My turn. I will just say, we're gonna get more from Madam Pele. We're gonna get more.
More of the same or more?
More. Like, more than what we saw in, let me dare say, in March. Let me just go on the opposite direction.
So I think the difference between Maanya's prediction and my prediction is that I'm predicting the fountains are not going to be as vigorous.
I'm gonna say Madam
Pele
is
going more.
Yeah, Madam Pele is gonna go all out.
My Infinistry said there will be multiple plumes in the shape of middle fingers. And Sean clarified a little bit further and said Madam Pele will continue current levels of activity for the next few weeks, then we'll rest for a couple months after.
Yeah, and that probably I would agree. That's going to be
a reasonable prediction. Yeah.
Yeah, at some stage this eruption cycle will end, and it'll take a couple months. Because one of the things you're seeing in the telemetry is that the the mountain is shrinking, right? When all this pressure is being released, launching all the material up and out, the mountain is shrinking. At some point, it's going to have shrunk enough that there's not sufficient pressure for the magma to reach the surface. So at some point, the eruption will stop. And so that's a pretty reasonable prediction.
I am being absorbed by my chair.
Have we known?
Will I be further absorbed by next time?
But my question is,
think
have we ever found out Madam Pele to be reasonable? Have
No,
we ever found out
she-
Madam Pele to be reasonable?
I think she's reasonable. I don't know what you guys are talking about. Your guys' expectations are just wrong.
There we go. And it's fair to say that historically she's had periods of eruptions between a few days and a few weeks, but we then had this 35.5-year eruption that is very different. So now we've not had enough volume to potentially compromise the top and have another collapse, right? There's not, we don't see that as being, we don't have that volume. But again, the lava lake is getting higher and higher and higher as you see it expanding more and more. But because of that martini glass shape, it takes more and more lava to raise the level of the lava lake. But it's continuing to go. It'll be interesting to see once the down drop cavity fills up, whether or not the eruptions in the summer are going to continue. If you look at the deformation, what we're seeing right now is to the southwest some deformation, but we're not seeing earthquakes. So the magma is not on the move. The magma still says, I'd rather go up the top. I'd rather go through those two tiny holes and not down the southwest rift zone or to the east, which is an interesting thing given the fact that our previous eruptions, we got a little bit dribbling to the southwest and a little bit to the east. There were short little events on the side. So the magma certainly has pipes that way, but for some reason it's easier to go up to the very center and up to the very top. Go figure.
I just found something new on vMix, and I'm gonna play with that later. Yeah, I think that's basically all we have for today, right? We are at that hour mark. I think we're getting a little over. So, yeah, we should look to wrap up here. Any last words from either of you guys? What do you got? What do you want? What can I do for you?
Go ahead, Maanyaa.
Guys, I would say best of luck to Proton because I'm gonna take him to the doctors today, and he's been having some issues, and I really hope it's not a biggie. But,
You hope it's not nothing.
I hope it's not a biggie. So
Proton's
think about
going
it.
through a bit of difficult period, but hopefully the vet can
Hopefully
intervene.
it'll come to the other side. Yeah, all good. So I like that, Smitty. Thank you. Come again.
The International Obfuscated C Code Contest, or our 40th anniversary contest, is halfway through its open period. So you have until I think it's the 6th of is it 6th of June? I believe? Yeah. To get your submissions in. So we'll be announcing the halfway point. So you're best advised to register if you haven't registered and get your submissions in. Don't wait till the last minute to start coding, writing, and uploading. It's better off doing it now rather than trying to rush towards the end. Especially if you're competing against people that have spent a great deal of time on their entry. So good luck.
It is early voting right now in Canada, so if you're voting in the federal election, you can go start getting ready for that and go get that done now. If you're having any trouble, please call the elections office. You can just find that at .gov for Canada. Check that out. They will help you. They will assist you. They'll help you get there and back if you have any kind of disability or have any issues with trying to get your vote set up. So get started now if you want to get your vote in. You've got about a week left. That's everything from us. There's going to be
I would
debate
say
pub.
please vote if you're Canadian and you're allowed to vote. Please vote.
It is debate pub next week, so we'll be talking all things politics there. And if you're interested, make sure you actually check out the videos that come out on this channel, because there are going to be a couple of the ones that I've been doing edited from my personal channel over on here that are a little bit political related. But alas, thank you for joining us. We're gonna get on out of here.
We're going to have an election night show here as well. We
have an election night show planned. That'll be fun. That'll be the 28th. So Monday, which will be after debate pub, which will be the 26th. So
best wishes, Canada, in electing members of Parliament that will do you well.
Yeah, like, share, subscribe. Thank you so much for joining us, and have a good day, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thanks for coming, guys.
Bye.
Bye.